Hey there, you GRRRL travelers, welcome back. Seeing as I've been rolling out the videos for India, I thought I'd go ahead and start my travel survival series. This is going to be a pretty thick one, and that's because these are my notes. I'm not sure if I can stick to it though. India happens to be one of my favoriteest countries. It's huge. You can travel the entire country and you're always going to see something a little different. Beaches, deserts, mountain ranges, canals and waterways. It's got a population of 1.2 billion people. There are two main languages that are spoken in India. The first one is Hindi. The secondary language is English. However, there are actually 21 different languages in India, and so it's very possible that even Indians, when they traverse their own country, come across language barriers and have difficulty understanding each other. To support that idea is the fact that India doesn't have just one cinema industry. It has something like 11. Bollywood, Mollywood, Hollywood, Collywood, Punjwood, Sandalwood, Gujarati, Bengali, and the list kind of goes on. And that was just my opening line. Number 1, planning your trip to India. Obviously, the country is big and traveling it can take some time. One of my biggest tips is to always pad your travel days. I usually like to pad at least a day or day and a half for my travel time, and that's because it's allowing everything from the actual duration of my trip to the possibility that the train or bus might break down in the process or it might arrive late. Unless you're able to hire a driver, rent a car, or hop on a tour, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to keep to a very tight schedule. As of May 2016, supposedly foreigners were able to book advanced travel online through the India Railways system. I'll put the links down below, as well as I'll eventually come out with a written guide post with more details added in. That means you go to the website, you sign up for an account, and supposedly you're able to just start booking. But with India, there always tends to be just a little bit of a snag. In the most recent past, the workaround for travelers was that if you couldn't book online at the India Railways website, you would also open an account on ClearTrip or MakeMyTrip.com and merge your accounts together and try and book it from here. The good thing about ClearTrip and MakeMyTrip.com, they're both websites that India uses to book travel. They both allow you to see schedules for long distance buses, trains, and airlines. Sorry, so much information. Other than that, booking onward travel is easy when you're already in India, and that's because there are so many travel agents out there who are willing to help you book your trip. I tell them what times I need to be at a certain place, and they will go ahead and find me the right schedules or give me options. Usually the commission that they make off of it is very little. It probably is either less or equivalent to what I'm going to pay in a credit card fee for booking online. It's also preferred because a lot of times I'm changing my travel dates because maybe I find that I like staying in that city and I want to stay a little longer. The only time that I would ever book my travel in advance is when it's train travel during a festival or during a time that I know there's, like, it's a public holiday and I know that trains might get booked very quickly. I mean, you have 1.2 billion people to compete with. Number 2, getting around. Long distance transportation options will be, you can take a flight, railway, government bus, or long distance bus, hire a driver, rent a car, as well as take a tour. In terms of airline carriers, the popular ones tend to be India Air, Kingfisher, Jet Airways, and the two that I used this past trip for budget travel were Indigo and SpiceJet. The airlines carriers in India tend to be pretty good. You get your choice of veg or non-veg. 1 hour. I'm just going from Varanasi to Delhi. My legs can't even reach. I took a few flights and they ranged anywhere from like $30 to I think $80 was the most that I paid. I think the common transportation that a lot of travelers use happens to be the railway system, and it's because it's consistent and convenient. A lot of times travelers like to use the sleeper class trains. You can book an overnight berth. Overnight berths help save on time when you travel. However, sometimes they can be scheduled in kind of off hours. You might leave late at night and you might arrive early in the morning. Now, as a female solo traveler, for me, maybe that's not so smart that I book those trips. However, because I am usually hurrying and I want to make the most of my schedule, I am booking those trips. I generally like to stay in third class and sleeper, and that's because I like the fact that it's only got a ceiling fan and open air windows, and that I like that kind of circulation. The thing about the sleeper class is that because it's a little more public, if you leave late at night, you might arrive to your berth and find someone sleeping in there, and you just kind of have to push them off. The higher classes have AC. They have more like 4 berths versus 6. You're going to be with Indians that have a little bit more money, like businessmen, families.
14 hours, I think, 11 to 14 hours, and that's why there are all these sleeper berths. Unfortunately, I've got like the bottom berth. It's a full sold out ride. The bottom berth is the worst place to be. Once it's time to wake up, everyone wants to sit down in the seat, so that was the only thing that was available for me.
Now, long distance buses are probably the least favorite form of long distance travel that I take. Not because I don't find them safe, it's just that I find them highly uncomfortable. There are different types of long distance buses. One is a long distance bus. The other one is like a VIP tourist bus. It's supposed to be better. They're like sleeper berths. The next one is a government bus, regular public bus that travels from state to state, and they make all the local stops. Now, if I had to choose between the 3, I'd probably choose either the regular long distance bus or the government bus, and not the VIP bus. In the very beginning, I took the VIP bus a couple of times, and one, I've tried the overnight berth. That berth is like less than a twin size bed. If you're traveling with someone, there's a likelihood that person is going to get booked with you on that sleeper bed. It might fit 2 Indian men, but in terms of 2 women or a couple, it might be a little bit of a squish. The next time I booked a VIP bus, it was in a recliner chair. When you recline, the person in front of you reclines also, and they're almost in your lap. That wasn't a preferred way for me to travel at all. If I had to compare the VIP bus to the government bus was actually a lot more comfortable. And even though it's metal seats, it's all open air. People are going in and out, so it might be crowded at one point, then it might get very sparse. The only drawback is that you don't know when the bus driver is actually going to take his bathroom break, and if he's going to take one. In all the cases, the buses don't wait for you. So if you're late, then too bad. So if you're going to take the bus, always be on time. If you're going to go off the bus for anything, always take your valuables with you. In the past, I've seen the bus leave even though passengers were still there, and I've seen like Indian passengers run and hit the bus to kind of like stop the bus. 3, communication. India, the Wi-Fi, the internet situation is actually pretty good. Their infrastructure isn't so bad. The speeds are pretty quick. Internet cafes in India are still very common. You will see many of them around, and this is perfect for the tourist that doesn't bring their laptop or computer along with them. A lot of times the computers there will be a little old school, the internet might be a little slow, and you'll pay per minute. They can also make copies there for anything you might need in terms of printing out your flights and stuff. If you want a quick speed, then the next option would be to get an Indian SIM with a data plan. Whenever I'm in India, I always get an Indian SIM, and that allows me to communicate, make calls to guest houses to see if there's availability, as well as these days set my mobile device up as a hotspot so that I can surf the internet on my laptop. I have 2 videos that I put out on those 2 things, and they're right here. If you didn't get an Indian SIM and you need to make local calls, there aren't payphones in India, but you might see STD shops. If you're from the US or a Western country, then the term STD means a different thing to you. In India, STD shops are kind of like an abbreviation for being able to make phone calls. I think you'll pay either per minute or per call. Next up, health. I thought I'd go ahead and do a health section, and that's because people are always afraid of getting sick in India. India is known as a country that's growing in medical tourism. You'll always find doctors, you'll always find pharmacies, as well as hospitals in big cities. They also are big in Ayurvedic medicine. Now, I'm not saying they won't have regular antibiotics. They do, but they also practice Ayurvedic medicine. Even though it's all natural, I wouldn't underestimate the power of them. And this is like a practice that's gone on for hundreds of years. It can heal some things that Western medicine can't. Number 5, where to go potty. My number 5s always tend to be potty tips because it weighs very heavily in my traveler mind. The idea of having to go potty when you're in the middle of sightseeing or when you're lost is not fun. If there's one country in which I have not mastered the art of finding a good toilet, that's India's it. Your 2 main options would probably be a modern shopping mall as well as a paid public toilet. If it's a free public toilet, then for the most part, you will be doing this. Next up would be railway stations, although they tend to be not so great spelling. The toilets range in India, anywhere from Western to Asian squat toilet. For the most part, just expect the squat toilet. For women who feel a little squeamish, this is their first time, I would recommend purchasing an FUD or feminine urinary device. This is what I purchased on my first trip to India. I actually only used it like once or twice, but it was very helpful when I did. And that's because usually you're juggling a lot and sometimes the facilities don't look too lovely. Now the bonus tip here, and I knew I couldn't fit it all into 5. I knew it because I had to add in one more thing. The bonus tip is budget. Out of all the things that you'll need to be affording in India, the biggest cost will probably be accommodation. The bigger cities in India, you'll range anywhere from $10 to say $30 for a good or decent budget accommodation. Maybe 100 to 300 rupees for like a nice Indian made blouse. Use trains, you're probably looking at anywhere from, you know, in the $20 range to 30s. If you're flying, well, expect to pay like anywhere from $30 to say 80. The concept of hostels in India is a concept that's slowly starting to make its way in there. There is one hostel chain that's starting up called Sostels. It definitely ranges. You're not going to break your bank by going to India. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. If it was, please give me the thumbs up. Probably spoken some of these lines many times because it probably came out. I know I did so many bloopers along the way. And then now I'm gonna have to edit it. Until then, travel safe, smart, and fun. I will see you in India. And may the grrr be with you.